What up, internet? Take it with the tech, and I'm coming at you with a brand new series called 10x10, a show where I keep it 100 with you and do breakdowns and rants about current topics that's on my mind. Now, it doesn't always have to be about gaming, but today's topic is. In the background, I'm playing some Dead Cells for the Nintendo Switch, because you know I gotta keep it gaming with you. But yeah, today's topic is ESRB ratings and parental control. So let's just get right into it. So for my people who don't know what ESRB means, it stands for Entertainment Software Rating Board, and that's the organization that puts the age and content ratings on video games. So you would typically see that at the bottom of your packaging when you're buying it. So you will see stuff like E, T, M, that stands for the ages. So it was formed September 16th in 1994, so it's about 25 years old now. And you will see stuff like EC, which stands for early childhood, and that's pretty much like the preschool audience. So that means you would get your games like Team Umizoomi, Sesame Street, Bubble Guppies, typically stuff that, young kids of that age will watch on TV, and then make video games specified towards that age. What you mostly see is like everyone, and that's basically what it means generally for every age. Back in the day when they first introduced it, it was KA, which stands for kids to adults. So in 1998, they just changed it to everyone because, that just makes the most sense. So it usually have like, mild content, not really much violence or like crazy language. Pretty much just stuff you can just pick up and buy and anybody can enjoy it. So games like 2K, because it's sports, you got Pokemon, Mario Kart, pretty much light-hearted games. And then it moves up to like the everyone 10 plus. So pretty much everyone, but you have to be age 10 years or older. So you got games like Minecraft, Crash Bandicoot, Ratchet and Clank, stuff that kind of amps up the violence a little bit, but not to the point where it's like bad for children, if you can kind of get it. Like, it has some type of language in it, but it's really mild and lighthearted, and you can pretty much pass it by through anyone. And then you get up to the teen area, which is about 13 years or older, and then that games consist of like Spider-Man, which is a teen rated game. You got Jump Force, which is action, but it's not really like bloody and gory, stuff like that. What else? Another teen game. Sims. It's pretty much just like real life. You can do whatever, but you're old enough to see those type of things. And then you get up to the mature, which is pretty much all the games that everybody know, like Grand Theft Auto, Mafia 3, Call of Duty, the typical games. And then you got the last rating, which is called adults only. Now, we ain't gonna get into all of that, like what type of games you can get, but it's pretty much games that has mostly sexual content or full-on nudity, stuff like that. So pretty much pornographic games. And then you see another one called RP, which is rating pending. So they don't have a rating for it yet because the game isn't fully developed or announced yet. So they still reviewing it to see what type of content they have in those games. But my main reason for explaining all of that is for the parents of the children who plays mature games. It gets worse year after year. These parents always complain about games expose their kids to violence and crazy language and all this other bullshit. But you are the one who's responsible for what type of game your kid plays. I'm not talking about people who's 17 and up that can buy their own video games because they're mature enough to get it. I'm talking about the kids that have Grand Theft Auto and Call of Duty and all these other games, and you can clearly tell who they are, because even if you're online with them, you can hear them screaming and yelling into the mic. These kids. Those kids aren't getting them games themselves, because for one, they don't have a job to buy the game themselves, and for two, they have to go to somebody older to get the game, or they're going over somebody else's house that has the game. So to clear the air, you are responsible for what your kid plays, because all you do is listen to your kid cry about the games that all their other friends have, or a game they're seeing on TV that they really want because it's going to be insanely popular and everybody else is going to have it. Your job then is to do some research. Everybody has Google. Everybody can use Google. Like, you can go and get quick facts about the game that's coming out, a premise, a synopsis, whatever the case may be. If it seems too much for your child, or you think your child can't handle it, don't buy the game. Because when you go to the stores, in my opinion, GameStop doesn't even enforce these rules anymore. They see a parent coming in with their child, and the parent's like, okay, what game do you want? And they're like, Grand Theft Auto or Call of Duty. And they say, okay, that's the game I want. And employees is going to give it to you. Like, I hardly see GameStop employees saying, okay, well, just let you know, this game has this, that, and the third in it. They just kind of like, okay, well, this is the game you want, here you go. And they let the parents buy it no matter what the game is. They're not even enforcing these rules anymore. Now, they probably will ask for an ID if a kid comes in asking for it himself, but most likely when they're with the parents, that question just never pops up anymore. Like, are you sure you want to buy this kid this game because it has violence and guns and killings and stuff in it? They don't do that anymore, especially with a lot of the games nowadays getting bought digitally. But you still need a parent's permission to buy something digitally because you need a credit card in order to do it. So you're still buying your kids these type of games without even doing your research on it. And it bugs the hell out of me. Like, you can't complain that these companies is the problem and you're the one buying your kid this game without doing any research on it. You have to look up that type of stuff. Like, literally, I have 2 siblings under a sub account. Like, I manage their accounts. Like, I don't really force them to play E-rated games because I feel like they're responsible enough to take care of it and play it and not try to do the things that the game does in real life. So I'm fine with that. But if you need daily control over their accounts, like if they try to get into something that you don't think they should get into, you have that ability to do so. There's parental controls on literally everything in your household. And this doesn't even have to pertain to games anymore. Like, even with YouTube, like, you let your kids go on YouTube and just pull up any type of thing they want on YouTube. You have parental controls. You have to sit down and take the time to figure out how to use this because the options are there, but parents are too lazy to go into those options and set that stuff up, or they just don't know about it overall because they're uninformed. And it kills me that a lot of people get these complaints about these games, but they don't do the research themselves. It kills me. Like, I don't know what it is, and I don't know how some of these people's brains work, but you have options out here to kind of limit what your child sees online, and you just don't utilize it. And you just got to continue to deal with it. Like, I really don't have anything else to say about it, to be honest, because it's like, you're kind of doing it to yourself. If you really wanted to control what your kid does, you can do it. You can do it for cable. You can do it for YouTube. Pretty much any type of media app. You can censor what your child sees or gets his or her hands on. It's really not that hard. You just gotta take the time to do it. But yeah, people just want to complain to companies about what their kid sees. But you know, that's just how the world works these days. Like, it's just how it works. And I truly don't even get it. Like, for example, people lost their mind when Call of Duty World War II came out. I believe that's the actual Call of Duty that I'm talking about. Whatever Call of Duty had that scene where the men were hanging from a tree, and I don't even think they were black people, but that had nothing to do with it. But yeah, people, it was a few guys hanging from trees, and people just lost their mind and got on Activision's head about that scene. And it's kind of like, okay, it's a mature game. It's 17 and up. You should be old enough to handle stuff like that. If you can't, don't buy the fucking game. Period. Like, I didn't see nothing wrong on that end because it's World War II. So they're trying to be as accurate as possible historically about the type of things that happened during that era. And that included hanging. So you can't get mad when you got all the signs there. It's a mature game. It's a World War II game. And it's a Call of Duty game. So it's going to be stuff like that in the game, period. So people just lost their minds over there. But it's kind of like, you the one that chose to buy the game or to buy it for your child. So if that child seen it, that company is not responsible for who it gets its hands on. Like, they got their money. They just know it came from somebody who's old enough to buy it. So that's done. Deal's done. You bought the game for your child, and he's seen men being hung on a Call of Duty. But, you know, it's the company's fault. That's wild, bruh. That is so wild. What's another example? Mafia 3. While we talking about it, Mafia 3. There was a scene during a side mission to where two men was having sex with each other. Consensual sex. And the internet blew up. People were getting mad, talking about you're promoting homosexuality, you're warping people's minds with this, and blah blah blah. Like, not even kids at this point, grown ass men and women complaining about a homosexual scene in Mafia 3 that you can totally avoid because it's an optional mission, it's a side mission. And it goes back to the ratings. It is a mature game. Clearly on the label, it has nudity, drug use, strong language, violence. And you can't fathom two men having sex together. Like, it's homosexuality, bro. It's 2019. You can't handle homosexuality in this day and age. You just sound homophobic, in my opinion, bro. Like, if you can't handle that, don't buy games. Like, it's so crazy to me. Like, I never thought that people would be complaining about the type of stuff that happens. Nobody's promoting homosexuality because it's in a video game. It's just what happens. I'm pretty sure you wouldn't be complaining if heterosexuals was having sex. Like, it's no different. But it's a short scene that you don't even have to see. Like, you can literally run past the room that it's happening in and never notice it. As a matter of fact, I didn't even know that it was in the game until it got brought to the forefront. And people were complaining about it. It's totally ridiculous, but it goes back to the rating of a game. If you cannot handle a mature game, then don't buy it. All the warnings are there for you, but people choose to ignore it because the game is popular and they want to play what everybody else is playing. And then when they see something, oh, the company's wrong. No, the company is not wrong. The company is being creative and doing what it wants to do. And if it's a mature game, then they have the pass to put stuff like that in it. Sexual activity, drug use, strong language, blah, blah, blah. The list goes on. You should know what you're getting yourself into before buying these games or buying it from someone else. Like, I knew what the ratings were when I was a kid. I was able to play mature games as a kid because I was mature enough to handle it and not do the things that happen on a video game in real life. It's not that fucking hard. Not at all. But people want to complain about it. Like, any regular human being will play Grand Theft Auto and know that they can't do the shit that they do in the game in real life or complain about it. So it's like, the warnings are there. I just don't understand what people are complaining about. The warnings are all there. We have ratings for a reason, and people just tend to just, you know, disregard them and just buy the game. It's amazing how stupid humans can be at some points of time, but it's been multiple like cases of this happening, and they just all on the internet complaining, saying boycott this game or don't buy this game for your children. You're not supposed to buy the game for your children because it's a mature game. It's supposed to be played by adults. But some people got this mentality that video games are only for children. You still have people out in this world that think video games are a waste of time, stupid, unproductive, and it's only for children. You mean to tell me we've had this rating system since the 90s? And you don't have enough common sense to know that there are mature games that children are not supposed to play? Like, come on now. Who's the real one that needs to grow up here? If you still think video games are for children at this point, then you're just oblivious to gaming, period. Like, you just oblivious. You just walking around here thinking video games is for kids. Like, Grand Theft Auto is supposed to be played by 12-year-olds. Like, I mean, even though that's what it is nowadays, they do play it. But you think that's only for them. Crazy, bruh. Crazy. I don't get it. But to wrap things up, parents, this is a PSA. Be more involved in your kids' life. Know what you're getting yourself into when you're buying these games for them. When they ask for it, do your research. See what the type of content that's in the game, and then make your decision. Don't come on social media complaining to people or bashing people for playing video games or letting their kids play video games that has explicit content in it. Be a parent. Do your damn job. Don't blame anybody else for what you're responsible for. Period. And that's my rant for today, to wrap things up. So make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, man. Share. Y'all know how the internet works. I ain't gotta tell y'all. And yeah, this has been the first episode of 10x10. We out.